New birds put away.
He's covered with a towel at the moment, so we'll see.
All right, very good. You're listening to Let's Stay Together, a podcast about Fruits Basket by Natsuki Takaya. I'm Ellen.
And I'm Kayla.
Did you forget your cue?
I was watching the lump move under the towel.
That's important.
Yeah.
Today we're discussing chapters 80 and 81.
Woo.
I got no announcements. Yeah. We're continuing the sad story where we left off last time, I guess.
Yeah. This is a slightly less depressing pair of chapters. So.
Yeah, it's much less of a bummer. There's more catharsis this time. Last time we ended on a real down note,
Yeah.
I feel. But it's okay. There'll be some resolution this time.
People getting pushed out windows.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal.
It's okay. Everything's cool.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, well, on that note, chapter 80 opens where we left off last time with Tohru at Rin's bedside. She checks Rin's forehead, and Rin slowly starts to wake up. She imagines her mother kind of pulling her hand away and smiling softly. She starts to call out to her mom, but then realizes that it's not her mother, but Tohru, asking how she's doing. And Rin startles upright, abruptly grabbing the bed covers, and Tohru tells her to lay back down and goes to get to Tori to let her know that she's awake. Why this girl? Rin thinks. I don't want to get near this girl. Shigure and Hattori come upstairs and fill us in on the details from while Rin was passed out. So Tohru found her after she threw up and fainted in the living room, and after that she turned into a horse, and we see Tohru freaking out, and Yuki and Shigure being kind of like concerned about what to do with like horse Rin. He asks if Rin remembers. Rin doesn't reply, but thinks, I remember, I was seen in a humiliating position, then had a bad dream. Hattori tells her that he's taking her to the hospital. No, I won't go, she shouts, remembering her mother. I hate hospitals. And she tries to climb out the window, but Hattori holds her back. Tohru returns with food for Rin, but drops it at the door when she sees what's going on. It's Suzu-san, she shouts. You mustn't. It's dangerous. Rin chills out, and Shigure says, Rin, why don't you let them get you to the point where you can take care of your own body? That's the only way you can get people to once and for all leave you alone. And that way, we wouldn't have to be so bothered by you. What am I doing? Rin thinks, fainting, falling apart, without even finding a way to break the curse. At this rate, the end will never come. Later in the evening, Shigure and Tohru see Hattori off. He says he'll be back tomorrow to take Rin to the hospital, and Tohru wonders what Rin came here to do, and remembers the way that Rin screamed when Tohru arrived. She says that it seemed to be that she was in so much pain. The truth is that Rin and I are going out, Shigure says. Oh, really? I shouldn't have pried, Tohru says, gripping her apron nervously. And Shigure says that of course he's joking, and Tohru tells him not to be an asshole, basically. Hattori says goodbye to Tohru, and Shigure walks him down the stairs away from the house. Hattori takes out a cigarette to smoke, and Shigure asks if Akito will be mad at him for leaving without permission. Hattori says that he still has a few excuses left. Shigure says it's hard to keep Akito in a good mood, but Hattori wants to talk about Shigure. Rin came to see him, right? That's right, he says. For some reason, that girl is desperately looking for a way to undo our curse by herself. Hattori looks shocked at this revelation. The cigarette hangs unlit in his mouth. Hattori asks if she's serious, and Shigure says that she is, and suspects that he knows how to do it. That's absurd, Hattori says. Is it really? Shigure asks. He turns back to face Hattori. Hattori, can you hear it? Hear what? Hattori asks. Shigure smiles a guileful smile, and Hattori squints in sort of concerned concentration. What are you doing? A voice interrupts them, and it turns out that Kyokyo has returned home and asks why Hattori is there. Shigure explains that Rin is staying for a bit, and Hattori looks away in thought and considers Shigure's words again. Can you hear it? The sound of breaking. Inside the house, Yuki visits Rin. He asks if she's going to eat, and she replies, if you call Haru, I won't forgive you. So grumpy. Yuki sits beside her on the bed and leans over, facing her as she stays curled away from him. He told me that he'd take care of this on his own, Yuki says, but I think you should know that in spite of everything, Haru still likes you, Rin. He likes you very much. Yuki leaves, and Rin lifts her head and looks at the food left on the table by Tohru. She thinks about Tohru and remembers Haru talking about her. I think it's because of her that Yuki and Kyo's auras have softened. Is she really that special? Rin asks in the memory. She's a normal girl. If you meet her, you might understand too, Rin. She's kind. You are too, Haru, she thinks. So kind. Too kind. I feel sorry for kind people. That's why I didn't want to meet her. But after I broke up with Haru, the first time I went to Gureni's house, that girl was there. We see Rin, in her memory, coming up to the house and passing by the living room outside. Inside, she sees Tohru folding laundry. Rin looks shocked. She thinks, I felt that burning impulse. In the present, Tohru enters the bedroom, and she asks how Rin is doing and lets her know that she'll be sleeping downstairs if she needs anything. Stop it, Rin says, resting her head on her palm, looking exasperated. Tohru's surprised. You went to ask Kazuma, didn't you? What are you trying to do? Do you look down on us? Do you pity our wretched state? Rin asks. Don't bother. We never asked for your sympathy. Rin gets more agitated. Kind people should just go on living in their kind world. She remembers Hiro asking if Rin blamed him. That's not it, she thinks. This is just the only way I can say it. I hate for kind people to suffer. And she thinks of Haru. I hate for them to get hurt. Rin rests her head on her knees again. Could it be, Tohru asks, that you're trying to break the curse too, Izuzu-san? That's none of your business, Rin says. Izuzu-san, Tohru almost pleads, do you know a way to undo the curse? Shut up, she says. I told you we don't need your help. Tohru tries to argue more, and Rin grabs her sweater and pulls her up to the bed, saying, Stop it. No, sorry. saying, Stay out of it. Stop interrupting. No, Tohru says, perhaps to Rin's surprise. I'm sorry, but no, I won't stay out of it. Stop screwing around, Rin says. No, Tohru says. Just as you have things you can't give up, Isuzu-san, so do I. We see Kyo and Yuki in the hall, listening to them as they argue, and Rin says, Shut up. There are things I can't give up, Tohru says. Shut up, Rin says. There isn't one. There isn't one anywhere. There isn't a way. No one knows how. At this rate, I'll never be able to release him, Rin thinks, thinking of Haru. Rin starts to cry. I don't know what to do anymore. She suddenly bolts out of the room, down the hall, and she thinks this is why she didn't want to get near Tohru. This girl is the kind of person who makes me feel this way. Back then, too. And she remembers the same time of Tohru folding laundry, smiling peacefully. I wanted to cry. I wanted to run to her and fall on her lap, to pour my heart out to her like a child who goes crying back to her mother. I want to share with her all the weakness in my overly weak self. And I feel like she would let me, like she would accept me. It's too much. Such a person, I feel sorry for her. Kind people are clung to. They're sought out and taken advantage of by people like me, and that's why I won't get them involved. I can do it on my own. I'll keep running on my own. I don't have to be understood. I don't care if people hate me, if I'm alone. Rin runs to the stairs at the edge of Shigure's property, and Tohru finds her there, head in her hands. Tohru sits beside Rin and rests her hand on Rin's arm, and Rin pushes it away. Tohru tries again, and Rin suddenly turns and holds her, burying her face in Tohru's shoulder. She thinks, I promised myself I wouldn't cry, but I'm sorry. I'm going to cling to you. I'm so powerless on my own. I'm so weak. I'm sorry. Yuki, Shigure, and Kyo catch up and see the two of them there. Rin sobs and says, I don't know what to do anymore. I just don't know. I can't do anything on my own, by myself. Tohru holds Rin and says, being by yourself is scary. And she remembers herself as a child looking at a door. Being alone is a frightening way to live, Tohru says, and she begins to cry herself. Rin squeezes Tohru and squeezes her eyes shut, and then they cry together. We see the narration, which I think is Yuki's inner monologue. I can't stand up on my own, by my own power. And Shigure says to Yuki and Kyo, she should have just given up and cried to her a long time ago. What's important is, will you always go crying to her, or... Yuki smiles a soft smile at the pair, and we see the narration, the sunrise I saw that day quietly spreads light over the land, but there was another light that lit up the places that the eye can't see. We close on Rin and Tohru together in the soft morning light, Rin still clinging to Tohru's sweater at the back, and Tohru holding her. And that's the end of chapter 80.
Side note, Tohru's sweater is super cute.
It is adorable. There was almost a fight. It wasn't what I expected. I mean, there's also a great sketch. If you have, I think it's in the collector's edition, but in the old version, it has like notes. So there's a sketch in between these two chapters that says that Haru waited to confess his feelings to Rin until he was taller than her. And it's like him standing, like measuring his height against her. He's like, just a little longer. It's really cute. It says that Rin's 2 years older than Haru, in case anybody was wondering before.
Scandalous.
A true May December relationship, if we've seen one in this story, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely haven't seen any larger age gaps than that.
2 whole years.
I'm scandalized. So much drama. Okay. So chapter 81 opens just where we left off, with Tohru and Rin together. Yuki narrates that they stayed like that for a long time, and Tohru came to get her in the morning, and Rin left without arguing, though she scowled as if embarrassed the whole time. I realize that we have something in common, Yuki thinks, and he looks over at Tohru, who stands beside him, as Tohru takes Rin away. They smile at each other. In just one respect, Rin and I are alike. We're looking for the same thing. At school, Haru says that he went to visit Rin, but was told to leave when she started brandishing her IV pole at him. Because of her breakdowns and ulcer complications, she has to stay in the hospital longer, he says. I'm just relieved that her spirits are up, and Yuki's like, is that what you call it? Yuki thinks that he likes Rin so much he can't help himself. I'm sure that this isn't based on logic. Yuki remembers Kagura saying, once I like him, it's hopeless. Haru says that he'll keep praying, that she stays in the hospital and gets better, and that he'll try to visit her when he can, and tells Yuki that he doesn't need to worry. The bell rings, and there's an announcement over the PA. Yu-Yun, my beloved President Yu-Yun-san. The meeting is about to start, so please hurry to Kimi, K. Oh no, my mistake. I meant hurry to the student council room. Kimi made a boo-boo. Sorry, Yun-Yun, but Kimi will be waiting for you, so please hurry here.
Very nice.
Thank you. You see in my notes there are like 5 heart emojis after that, so that I remembered how to say it. Kill, the Prince Yuki fangirls think. Yuki also panics and is like, she used the PA system. Don't tell me you just used the PA system, Kimi. And Haru's like, sounds like your new fling's enthusiasm knows no bounds. I never knew that was your type, Yu. And he's like, don't call me Yun, and she's not my type. Kakeru arrives and finds Yuki as well. I found you, Yun. Hurry to Kakeru. Oopsie, did I make a boo-boo? Tee-hee. From the dark side of the panel, Yuki grimaces angrily and says, I'm seriously pissed. Kakeru complains about trying to find him and that it would be easier if Yuki had a cell phone. And that's why they use the PA, and Yuki wonders why they're even paging him, and he's like, I'll go when it's time to go, and so on and so forth. Haru watches and smiles a soft smile. I bid you, please take care of my little Yuki, Haru says. And he's like, what? And Kakeru replies, yes, I promise I'll make your daughter happy. And Yuki's like, what are you two saying? I'm gonna hit you. Haru shoos them off to their meeting. As they part, he says, good luck to both of us. Yuki remembers him saying, don't stay lost. This is from chapter 70. I looked it up. Yeah, Yuki says and thinks, I'll change my way of thinking. On their way to the council room, Kakeru asks about Haru, and Yuki confirms that he's also a relative. There's Yun, the commander, that Kyo guy. Kakeru says, does beauty run in the Soma blood? And Yuki's like, I wonder. And Kakeru says that he's dead. Kakeru texts Kimi to let her know that Yuki's been found. Or if you have the old version, it says Kakeru sends a text message. He's like, I'm sending a text message to Kimi, which I thought was hilarious. I already talked to Kayla about it twice before we recorded this. If you have the new version, it says that he's texting Kimi. This is a very important distinction in syntax. It's like, this is the difference between 2006 and 2016 or whatever.
I wonder how they're going to do like the whole cell phone thing in the anime now, since they mostly seem to be modernizing it. I wonder if it's just going to be that Yuki's so sheltered he never had a cell phone.
Maybe. It doesn't seem to matter very much.
Yeah.
Did they add more cell phones in this? I can't remember. Oh, it was like they added the cell phone camera with the thing.
Yeah, and they've had like more modern cell phones and like the more modern TV, so it seems to be supposed to be in modern times.
He also rants, I think it's coming up, but Kakeru rants about him getting, when he gets a phone, it has to have a camera. It's like, oh, you're so precious.
Yeah. It's like they used to make them without cameras.
Yeah, I know. He has like a flip phone. Does anyone have flip phones?
Probably. My boss
like
has a flip phone.
Do. Wow.
He says...
I work with designers, so nobody has a flip phone.
Yeah, he says, I mean, he's not super into modern technology anyway, but he says he has the flip phones because it's more likely to survive getting crushed on horse calls, which is fair enough. Yeah.
The vet life. We have to be like, look at this fancy technology when we go to meetings, so, you know. Anyway, what were we saying? I had to have a technology rant.
Kakeru's texting Kimi.
Yeah, he is sending a SMS.
Sending a text message.
Sending a text message
electronic mail.
Yes. Oh, God. Okay, we were also just talking about how we're old 2 seconds before this podcast started. So it's a good time. Kakeru texts Kimi to let her know that Yuki's been found. And Yuki asks if his this is the bit, it's right now. Yuki asks if his cell phone is useful, and Kakeru's like, you bet your ass it is, and tells Yuki that he should get one. And if he does, to make sure that it has a camera so that Yuki can send him stupid movies. This is how we entertained ourselves in the early 2000s. People's shitty cell phone videos.
I mean, we still send each other stupid videos on our cell phones, so...
You're right. Now we just use the Snapchat.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just sent you a picture of my bird eating, so...
You're right. What am I saying? And I sent a photo of a man with a bird and a rabbit on the subway.
Nothing's changed about human behavior. It's just how good the pictures look.
No. It's true, you're right. It's just like HD bird being weird videos instead. Oh, it's good times. Okay. Yuki, so he says that Kakeru says that Yuki should get a cell phone. Yuki laments that he would need to get a parent to sign the contract, and Kakeru asks if he's on bad terms with his parents. Bad terms, Yuki says contemplatively. More like, we push all of each other's buttons. We push all of each other's wrong buttons, I guess, he says. I know exactly how that is, Kakeru says with a look of realization. And Yuki's like, eh. And then Kakeru confirms, yes, pushing the wrong buttons. That's what it is, all right. Mm-hmm. And Yuki's like, what are you agreeing with yourself about? Suddenly a book crashes through the student council room window in front of them. I was wondering, maybe I should start making a property damage to the school counter instead of property damage to Shiguri's house. It's like the third time, but we haven't had any damage to Shiguri's house in a long time.
Yeah.
A stunned moment passes between Yuki and Kakeru, but suddenly Kakeru beams like Velma at the prospect of a mystery. It's an enemy union! The enemy has appeared before the student defense force at last! Oh crap! No way! Not good! This is a problem! Yuki's like, you seem awfully happy about this. You like my Scooby-Doo joke?
It was good.
I was like, who would be the most excited about a mystery? I don't actually know.
Jinkies.
Zoinks. He's as excited as Xander at the prospect of stabbing a vampire.
This episode's a mess.
It's already going so well. This segment is a mess. I did the serious segment good. It's fine. They go to figure out who's causing a disturbance in the student council room and find Machi, of course, in the room looking completely freaked out, sweating, eyes wide. Yuki and Kakeru are briefly taken aback. Machi? Yuki asks, and he remembers the time that she did this before, over the summer. Aw, man, Kakeru says, the air of concern and confusion about him now dissipated, and he scratches his head. Why do you do these things? Yuki remembers the past time, Kakeru saying, you did it again. Kimi and Nao show up. What is this? Nao says, and Kimi's like, a poltergeist? I didn't make a joke about that one, sorry. Nao continues to complain, and Kakeru, who stands by Machi, asks to take care of it. Nao starts to complain again, and Yuki cuts him off. Okay, I understand, Yuki says. For now, we'll leave it to you. And he leads Nao and Kimi to the council meeting. As they leave, Nao continues to complain, and Yuki says that they'll take care of it later. Nao whinges again, and Yuki turns to him. Serious, eyes almost glowing. I said later, he says. Nao fumes in the background, and Kimi is like, Union's being firm, such power. The three attend the meeting, but Yuki continues to think about Kakeru and Machi. There's no doubt that Machi made the mess, but Yuki gets the feeling that they shouldn't make a big deal out of it. I think there's some reason for it, he thinks. And it seems like Kakeru knows the circumstances. The two seem close, but not like they are boyfriend and girlfriend. After the meeting, some girls come and ask if Yuki seen the council room, which they cleaned earlier, and Kimi takes the opportunity to tease them, saying, you call that pretty? It looked more like a typhoon had hit. It was a total disaster. And now starts to talk to Yuki again about how Machi was the one who did it. There have been rumors, apparently, that she's a demon of destruction, as he calls it. She's a strange woman, apparently. Maybe it's her way of relieving stress, Nao says, but I wish that it wouldn't cause problems for others. Back in the council room, Kakeru is still on cleanup duty. It turns out that Machi went home, and he avoids giving Nao a reason as to why. Now grumps and decides that he's not feeling well and needs to go home too. I'm not pleased, he says, taking off. And apparently Kimi ran off as well, leaving Yuki and Kakeru alone to finish cleaning up. So Yuki ties up a stack of papers, and Kakeru smacks them out of his hand, and Yuki, so they fly everywhere, saying, fly away! And Yuki is like, ah! He wonders what Kakeru did that for, picking up some of the papers, and Kakeru wonders, I don't know, man, why does Machi do these things? She won't talk about anything. When I asked if it was my fault, she went home. Could it be that she's depressed? Yuki asked. Could be, Kakeru says. Yuki asks what Machi is to him, and Kakeru answers, my little sister. We're siblings. A look of realization dawns on Yuki's face, and he replies, oh, I see. You're siblings. I get it. And Kakeru's like, you're kind of agreeing with yourself too, Union. He briefly wonders why their surnames are different, and Kakeru asks if the Soma family has any inheritance issues. Yuki says no, but then he backtracks and says that there might be, but he wouldn't know about it. Kakeru explains that he and Machi are half-siblings with different mothers. He is the oldest, but illegitimate, and Machi is the younger and a girl. So their mothers became very competitive about who the appropriate heir should be. They were raised very strictly, and at first he obediently went along with their demands, he says, 'cause when you're a kid, parents are everything. One day he started to think it was crazy, and he went on a rampage, stomping on a table and throwing plates, it seems, from the memory that we see. And he said that he wouldn't go along with the situation anymore. After that, he says, I think my mother came to her senses because she pulled out of the secession debate, and I was officially free. It might be that Machi's not free yet. Inside me and with my parents, there's still some tension left. It's like we pushed all the wrong buttons, just like you said, Yuki. Yuki thinks of his mother, and Kakeru stacks some papers on the pile that Yuki's been holding and says that it's such an old-fashioned idea to begin with anyway. It doesn't matter if the heir is female or male. And to drag young kids into it, our parents really are hopeless. Yuki suddenly throws the papers in the air as well, and Kakeru's like, what the fuck? Yuki says... he said something else. I'm just summarizing. Yuki says, you still have to live with it. Even if they're hopeless, or if you're appalled by them, or angry with them, children can't switch their parents, just like parents can't switch their children. There's no reset button. So, he says with a relaxed smile, you have to deal with what you got. You're right, Kakeru says, looking at the broken window in the door. And Yuki says, but maybe we can go back and learn the right buttons to press. And Kakeru's like, yeah, I'm not sure about going back. I mean, what if I look cool with the wrong buttons pressed? And Yuki's like, what's that supposed to mean? And Kakeru's like basically, if I look cool, when I press myself here, uncool. And Yuki laughs and says he looks like an idiot. And Kakeru's like, that's it. You can laugh it off. You know things are getting better when you can say, oh well, and laugh. And they continue with their confusing conversation and cleaning, and we transition away. Yuki narrates, everyone has pressures in their lives, all kinds of pressures, and we have to learn how to deal with them. Everyone does. Kakeru, Machi, even me. And my parents.
Kakeru says, even me? Like, oh yeah, I guess I have some pressures.
I might have some problems that I might have to deal with. Oh, Yuki's precious. At the Soma house, Yuki's mother hands him a paper. I signed it. That's all you need, right? For the cell phone contract, she says. Yuki says yeah, and he asks if his father will be home late tonight. Yes, she says, and we're both very busy. Is that all you wanted? Yeah, Yuki says, kind of sighing and folding the paper. I just need a parent signature. Thank you. A worker from the house comes to call her and tells her it's almost time to leave, and she says, yes, I know. Yuki says, I'll be going too. And as he leaves, his mother calls to him, Yuki, don't use it wastefully. Yuki looks kind of surprised as she walks away. Later, as he climbs out of what looks like the hole that Tohru climbed into, like, what the fuck? What's up with that? Anyway. He climbs out of the hole that looks like the one that Tohru climbed out of instead of going through the main gate and thinks, don't use it wastefully? That might be the first time she said anything like that. Something so motherly, he thinks, chuckling. That's it. You know things are getting better when you can say it, oh well, and laugh, he remembers Kakeru saying, and remembers Kakeru smiling earlier. He smiles too and thinks, if someday we can look back on it and laugh together, and sort of trails off. We see an image of Machi, and then Nao, Kakeru, and Yuki sitting at the student council room. Nao says, is it just me or do these papers seem somewhat worn out? They do, Yuki asks, and Kakeru's like, I'm not sure. Are you sure it's not your imagination? And that's the end of the chapter. I enjoy the way they cover for each other.
Yeah, they're like complete blasé, like, oh, are they? I don't know.
Are they? Wouldn't have noticed that they're crazy. They don't look like they've been thrown on the ground 3 times at all. Yeah. See, we were able to laugh at this one instead of just being sad. It's because all the sad Rin stuff happened at the beginning.
Yeah, I was going to say, it ended on a happy note.
Yes. I think it's good. Last time we talked about how maybe we could have done the first 3 those last 2 chapters and the first one of this one together. But I'm glad we did these 2 together because I think Yuki really sums up the similarities between like him and Rin in this chapter, which was nice.
Yeah, it's like they're all kind of running together right now, so you could kind of break it up either way, but I think this worked.
Yeah, I think so. This time, what do we got? Things that we can talk about. Let's talk about, should we go in order, I guess?
Sure.
Well, it kind of makes sense. Yuki gave us a good transition between the 2 chapters, like a champ. So
I guess if we're going in order, Rin then?
Oh yeah, okay. We learned, most important thing we learned about Rin. I mean, we kind of learned it last time, like she wants to break the curse. But this time Tohru figured it out that she wants to break the curse too.
Yeah.
And an argument ensued.
Yeah, and we learned exactly why she was trying to push Tohru away.
Yes.
In all her previous encounters.
Yes.
Because she knew she would break down. And love her.
It's definitely not sexual. I mean. Yeah.
It's like, it's not there.
Yeah. There's not a romantic element to this.
Yeah.
As far as I see it. But
yeah.
There's like a scene when she shows up and looks at is looking at Toru the first time, and it's like drawing of her, and it's like her neck.
Mhm.
I was like, why would you show like someone's neck so specific
Yeah.
and sort of intimate?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, though. I don't know. Just reading too much into it.
Yeah. It's also very like shoujo bubble, seeing your love interest kind of framing.
I saw her on the stairs, and
Yeah.
I knew from that moment on that I was gonna cry on her shoulder, and everyone's like, shit,
Yeah.
that's not. Anyway.
But more seriously, I mean, she does make some like parallels between Toru and Haru and how she reacts to both of them. So
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way. She does often, her kind of like in her monologue, leads between one and the other. She's like, I can't hurt either of them because they're too kind, and like, I just, people like me just cling to kind people,
yeah,
and just use them because, you know, we're too weak or whatever.
yeah. Just another example of how fucked up Rin's like thoughts have become, because like that's totally
Yes.
normal to seek emotional support from people you're close to.
Yes. I know. Yeah, the whole thing is fucked up. She's like, the
Yeah.
only way to like keep them she's like, I have to keep them safe from like me or whatever, which is crazy. It's like, no, it's fine. It's sorry, it's not crazy. That's not the right word. It's depressing.
Yeah,
It's fucked up. It's
Yeah.
like, you're allowed to seek comfort from other people, and people care about you,
yeah,
even people that you don't know who have no
it's
obligation
like-
to you.
yeah. It's like all her like thoughts and emotions are really, really normal, especially for someone who's gone through what she's gone through. But she thinks
Right.
it's like her being so like horrible and selfish and weak and stuff. It's like, no, it's really not.
No, it's okay. It's really okay. Yeah, it's true. I mean, Yuki was kind of like that too.
Yeah, we had like they do have some parallels, Yuki and Rin too. But yeah, he specifically has had like thoughts in the past about like feeling like he just like takes things from people and isn't giving anything back, which
Also
we know
Haru,
isn't true.
actually,
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I don't know why I didn't think about it until you just said this just now. It's so obvious. And Rin also, I want to circle back to the curse. So Rin also noticed that Toru's sneaking around trying to break the curse.
Yeah.
And then Rin is kind of, I wonder, so Rin asks like, oh, do you pity us? Do you whatever? And I wonder if she's doing the thing, because Rin does this thing where she like says whatever she thinks is going to hurt people the most to kind of like get them to stop doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think she basically confirms that's what she's doing in that scene, because like
Yes.
after she says that, she has the memory of Hiro asking if she's blaming him for basically having a happy family, and she's like, that's not that, but
She's like, it's the only way that I
it's
can
like
say
I'm just
that I
trying
want
to
to
protect
you.
people, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. We've definitely said this before in non-spoilers, because I know we've definitely talked about it before, that we talked about it last time, because last time she said that she wanted to free Haru from the curse specifically.
Yeah.
But I guess now we
we've
know
talked
that it
about-
extends beyond just Haru.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it in the past, how she like, seems to know exactly what to say to like hurt people, and then we've talked last time about how she's doing it for a reason, and
Yeah. The reason,
it's
we know the
becoming-
reason.
yeah, now it's becoming clear that she's doing it because she wants to protect people and thinks she needs to push them away from herself to protect them.
Mm-hmm. And probably in Toru's case, from the family, like not just her specifically, but I think that would extend to the Sohn family too. She's like, don't mess around in the Sohn family.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Hattori tried to do when he first met Toru.
That's true. He was like, I'll be an asshole, then she'll leave us alone. Like, if I just tell her to leave like a weirdo, if I invite her to my house alone. Oh, Tori. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both, I mean, obviously motivated to keep her away. And they have a similar experience of being traumatized by Aikido. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they want to keep someone like Toru away from the family. So
Yeah.
and with Rin herself, she
Yeah.
thinks.
They both reacted to incredible trauma by just really wanting to help other people.
Yes. Hattori more obviously
Yeah.
than Rin, I guess. But then, of course, Toru just like refused to let Rin push her away, actually, and was like, "No, I refuse to not do this." It's like the strongest thing that I think I'm trying to remember if there was a time where Toru reacted more strongly to a person like that.
The thing it made me instantly think of is during the true form, when she started to walk away, and then she turned around and had that incredible determined look on her face, and then came back and refused to leave Kyo alone.
I'm looking at her face. I'm trying to see.
Yeah, it's not as much her like expression, just the reaction where she's very much like, no, I'm not going to stay out of this, and her like
no,
determination
3
coming out.
times.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not like this is the first time, for sure. I think you're right. The true form arc, it definitely reminds me of the true form arc.
Yeah. I think it's the first time Toru's as like self-assured of her own goals in the time she's doing it. Like I think in the past it was just a reaction because she is a determined person. But when pushed, and it's just like in the previous times it's just like a kind of natural reaction to the circumstances. But in this time we've already seen her use the exact words of "I won't stay out of it." In the past, so this is like very much like she's like, no, I have a goal and I'm not going to be deterred from it for any reason.
Yeah, the other times that it reminds me of are like the time when she pushed Akito away at school. That was really early on. And then of course when she stood between Momiji and Akito at the beach arc. And those times it seemed kind of more of a like reaction, like a protective reaction, and even a little bit with Kyo at the true form, a little bit but I think she's like, no, I refuse to like let this go. But this is like, I think it's a good point that this is probably the most, self-assured or confident she is of her goal, where she just like refuses to let Rin push her away or stop her from. She's like, no, there are things that are important to me, and I won't stay out of it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, because we've seen her like a lot of times in the past have like doubts of like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. It's not my place. But we've seen her kind of recently go through that and be like, even if it's not my place, and even if I shouldn't be doing it, I'm going to not stay out of it anymore. So
I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. On this one specific thing.
Yep.
You know, breaking the curse, no big deal.
Yeah, nothing big.
Yeah. Definitely not a big deal at all.
No pressure.
Nope. When she grabs in this story, or not story, in this chapter that we just read, she kind of rests her hand on like Rin's arm, and in the true form she like grabbed Kyo's arm. It reminded me of that. And they both kind of like push her away.
Yeah.
I mean, Rin much less ferociously.
Yeah.
Although Rin could fuck her up, probably.
Yeah. She tried to kick her head in as a horse before.
Oh, so. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yuki saved Toru's life. He's like, don't do that. It's like, can you be more... Yes.
Can you be less you?
Yeah.
I really enjoy Yuki and Rin's relationship.
Yes. I love this one was really good. Yuki came in. Sorry, I guess we have more things to say about Toru and Rin, but I guess we could talk about that really quickly first, because Yuki comes in to Rin's room, and he tells her, he's like, by the way, I know I was gonna let Haru take care of this, but he still likes you a lot. And it's very, and then she kind of like looks at the food. It's really interesting. It was nice in this chapter specifically.
I like how they like they don't really like each other or get along, but they have kind of a mutual loyalty to Haru. Yeah. And kind of a mutual sort of understanding of each other. So.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Rin doesn't seem to like him. I don't think Yuki has anything against Rin. I think he's just trying to like,
Yeah, I don't think he dislikes her. He's just like, could you not?
Yeah. It's like, stop being so weird.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rin and Toru. So we talked about their argument already, which I thought was hilarious because Yuki... Sorry, I burped a lot. It was not hilarious. Their argument is very serious, but then it's funny how Yuki and like Kyo come in the hall. Like, what is going on in there?
Yeah,
good.
And then she just like bursts out the room past them, and they're like,
yeah. Is that what's implied by that panel? It looks like there's like speed lines past them. Like she ran past.
That's what I got from that panel.
Okay, same. I was like, maybe I'll save this for later.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I did say that.
She ran past them.
And then they follow them outside. Shigure and Yuki and Kyo see them outside.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Rin breaks... So what happens is, I think we stopped in the middle of their argument before the resolution of their argument, where Rin says that there isn't a way to break the curse. And then she runs out.
Yeah, because she starts kind of breaking down and crying, and then she's like, no, I won't do it. I won't break down to this person.
And then she does a complete 180 literally, and like cries on her for hours and hours and hours. At least that's what's implied.
Yeah. Like, it seems like they just stayed there until Hattori came up the walk and is like, what the fuck?
They stayed there till morning, Yuki says. Until the soft light crept over the land.
Yeah.
The scene of her like sobbing to Toru is very visceral. She's just like clinging onto her.
Yeah.
Like the way Takaya draws like her hands in Toru's like sweater and Toru's clothes, like she's just like gripping them.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing I think to note in this is that Toru cries too. So Toru says that it's scary to be alone, and then she cries.
Yeah.
And she has what looks like a memory of herself as a child. So at the end of that whole scene, Shigure is like, she should just given in and cried to her a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it's funny, like when Shigure's making his like, will you always go cry into her comment, Yuki reacts like it's being said directly to him, while Kyo's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. The good news out of all of this is that Rin goes to the hospital and swings her IV at Haru, which we find out about the next day or whatever, it's when they're back at school. And Yuki, it's good. Actually, it's a really nice transition, I think, when Shigure makes that comment that Yuki picks up on, and then he narrates away into the next chapter.
Yeah, like it seems like the narration is Yuki's between those two chapters. And it seems like it's one like complete thought, which is kind of interesting. I don't think we've seen a single narration continue across two chapters like that.
No, Yuki's definitely the king of narration. I was like, this narration sounds like Yuki, and I was like, oh, it is. When you get into the next chapter, it could be kind of ambiguous in the first one. Like, I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell because Toru kind of does that too, but it doesn't really seem like her sort of like voice. Yeah. But then once you go to the second chapter, I think it's really obvious that it was Yuki's. And I think you're right that we often see this to like bookend chapters, but we haven't seen one that kind of goes between two. But there hasn't really been a chapter that really bled. Like, we've seen some that they pick up exactly where they left off or whatever, but this one actually kind of like bleeds into the next one. Yeah. And then doesn't. The next chapter actually has like a separate focus, but the beginning is the end of the chapter before. So it's kind of interesting. It's a little more like fluid style of dividing up the chapters, I guess. I don't know if that's something of note, but it seems like it.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised to like if these like chapter divider pages weren't in there. If that just went on, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's weird. Is this supposed to be a new chapter? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it just continued in that way.
Yeah. Is that everything we can say about Rin? We kind of knew this stuff before, but now she finally admitted it to Toru and finally cried on Toru, which she wanted to do since the first time that she saw her. Creeped her in Shigure's house.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember that time.
Kicked down her sandcastle.
Yeah, really, what an asshole. Did we see that time? I can't remember. I was like looking at their outfits, like, I think we saw Rin leaving or something in one of those chapters before the beach.
Yeah, I think we saw like Rin there, but I don't think we saw that she saw Toru.
I think Yuki was just like, is that Rin? And Shigure was like, oh yeah, whatever, she was just here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I have a vague memory of that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yes, then she kicked down her sandcastle.
Yeah.
Further supporting the like sexual tension theory as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I think we get a bit more clearing up on the timeline. We were talking about it a bit last chapter because it's clear that Haru and Rin were still together like when he was first like meeting Toru. So.
Yeah, that's true. So right at the beginning of the series.
Yeah, I think we kind of extrapolated that from like, well, when like they broke up when she was in the hospital, and we saw like mentions of her getting out of the hospital, so it was probably pretty early on in the series. But but yeah, so we get confirmation that it was after the beginning of the series because they were still together when he was telling her about Toru. So
right. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad we closed the chapter on Rin. She's going to the hospital. Yeah. She's gonna get some help. Oh, Haru said that she has ulcers. Hold on, wait. Yeah. Last time I was wondering, I can't remember if we talked about this, but I was like, I wonder what her actual like problem is that she has. We kind of sort of talked about it, I think. Haru said that he says because of her breakdowns and ulcer complications. So I guess because of her mental health history, and some kind of like gastrointestinal issue, which I guess is obvious, but perhaps ulcers.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I mean, I think stress can cause ulcers, right? So
yeah, I think a lot of things can cause ulcers, and we know she had a lot of things happen. So
Yes. Yes,
but it makes
terrible
sense since we've seen her like have issues with like vomiting and trying not to vomit
and
so.
eating. She has a lot of
Yeah.
issues around eating in the first place too. So.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Rin's in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
so we're good for now.
Yeah.
Shall we transition to Yuki, the Yuki focus chapter?
Sure.
Oh wait, sorry.
Anything else?
I had one more thing to say, which is about Hattori. So when they're leaving,
Yeah. Yes, I was like, should we talk about Hattori and Shigure?
Oh yeah,
Was
we
there
should
anything
probably
new?
talk about that. That was kind of important. Sorry, I skipped over that completely. So Hattori, first of all, when Hattori leaves, Shigure is like, "Oh, you were able to leave without permission," or whatever he says.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "It's hard to keep Akito happy these days." So there was like a specific. It was the very first part of their conversation. It was small. I didn't realize that Hattori needed Akito's permission to leave.
I think he might have been being like slightly sarcastic about it.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, like, I guess.
like, I don't know if he strictly needs a hall pass from Akito. It's probably like if he leaves and Akito wants him, it's not going to be happy. So.
Yeah. That's true. But I guess what it seems like, I don't know if there's something that he says that implies that Akito is like being more possessive recently, or if it's just the usual. So
Yeah, I think the specific way he says like hard to keep him happy these days does make it seem like, and we were talking about that a bit last chapter, how like Akito's particular Akito-ness seems to be a little more unhinged lately.
Yeah, or at least we're seeing it more.
Yeah,
as this story goes on.
Yeah, so Shigure vagues some more about the curse.
Well, he said that Rin thinks that he can break the curse, and Hattori was like, "That's absurd," and he was like, "Is it though?"
Yeah,
that's the way I choose to interpret their conversation.
Yeah, it seems kind of like I kind of interpret it as like Hattori seems shocked at the whole idea of breaking the curse, rather than specifically Shigure knowing.
Yeah,
and he's just like, "Is it that weird?"
Mm-hmm. And then he has that like kind of there's that big panel of him where he doesn't say anything, but then when Hattori thinks about it later, it's revealed that he was saying like, "Do you hear it? The sound of something about to break, or the sound of something breaking."
Yeah, just intriguing but very vague.
As usual, what an asshole. I mean,
she's the master of vague.
Yeah, he was kind of an asshole this chapter.
Yeah,
he was like, don't you want to like go to the hospital so that you can like take care of yourself or whatever?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. It's more of that like that relationship they have that we were talking about, where they don't really like bullshit each other.
Yeah.
But she's just like, you should take care of yourself, then everyone will leave you alone and you can stop being annoying.
Yeah. He's like, but it's also kind of like what she wants, so it's like he knows knows what she wants.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like they don't bullshit each other. They know.
Yeah, it's really funny. And then he was like, "Oh, me and Rin are dating," and Tohru was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I asked." And Hattori is like, "Be more aware of the context of your conversation."
Yeah. That's kind of funny because that was kind of like an early series Shigure joke.
Yeah. That's true. I wonder if that's like a fourth wall situation.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like just dating people in general? That's true. Also,
just that kind of joke where he'd like say something stupid like that.
Yeah.
In that line, like just out of nowhere.
I thought you
even
meant
though
because
it's a more serious situation.
Yes, I thought you meant because they were in their like such salacious position together before.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's kind of a joke about that, but.
But yeah, it's
just the kind of joke that Shigure was making more often in the beginning of the series when we didn't know all of his Shigure depths.
Well, we still don't know all his Shigure depths. You just said that he's being super fake. We just kind of know it a little better.
Yeah, we know he has depths.
Yeah. Yes, depth to his depth. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I think we can move on from that chapter.
Okay.
I think that's everything that I wanted to say. Kyo was just there. He's not important in these chapters.
He had like one line, and it was one of his like, "Why the hell is whoever here?"
Yeah, why is Rin here? Why is Tori here? Someone sick? And they're like, "No, Rin's staying here."
He's like, "Why is Tori here? Is someone sick?" And Tori's like, "Can't I just visit?"
Yeah, no. It's probably just like, "Is Tohru sick?" That's the subtext of the question.
Can't I just come to visit family and friends?
Like
no.
He would do that. Yeah, no. No, he needs to get a hall pass from Akito.
Yeah. Akito would have one of those like obnoxious hall passes. You know, like where they have like a whole like sign
on a thing.
On a chain, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Like a toilet seat on a chain. Here's your hall pass.
Tori's like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Do you think Mayuko, the night school doctor, or the night school teacher for a night school doctor, would have an obnoxious hall pass? Okay, so the next chapter, Yuki. Yuki brings us in.
Yeah, he bridges the chapters.
And he says that in one respect, he and Rin are alike. And then transitions into the chapter, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
There's a brief discussion with Haru. So there's a discussion with Haru where we get some more information about Rin, but then Kakeru comes. And then when Haru leaves the conversation, he has that moment with Kakeru where he's like, please take care of Yuki for me or whatever, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I thought Kakeru just jumps right into that question.
They're kind of
good care of your daughter.
Yeah, they're kind of on the same wavelength in terms of teasing Yuki, I think.
Yeah.
But then when Haru leaves, he's like, let's both. He says good luck to both of us. And then Yuki has this memory, which I looked up. So it's a scene where Haru says, don't stay lost. So it's from chapter 70. So what's happening in this scene, and the reason why I think it's interesting is because I wanted to bring this up again, because I looked back at it and I was like, oh, this all makes so much sense when you put it all together, which is great. So this is a scene from before where they run into Rin. So in 69 and 70, when we read them together, it's where Toru's grandfather is ill, so she goes and visits him. And then Haru runs into Rin, in the woods or whatever, by Shigure's house. And they have this whole conversation. They have their crazy kiss, and then Rin runs away. But Yuki and Haru have this conversation where, Haru once again told him that Yuki needed to make himself top priority and not worry about Rin and not worry about things. This is when Haru says, Yuki, you're weak, but you're also kind. And he tells him not to stay lost. He says, you need to find the place where you truly want to be. And Yuki cries. Also, Yuki says, I can't stand up on my own, not all by myself. So it's very similar things that are repeated in these two chapters, which is why I thought it was, it's obviously a good callback. But it's interesting. They're just kind of the same. They're all on the same themes and showing these ideas growing with Yuki and with Haru. So at this point now, after that chapter that we read, Haru is reserved, try to get in contact with Rin again, and Yuki is trying to. It's not like he's trying to make friends, but he's trying to be in the student council. It's he doesn't realize he's making friends yet, but everybody else does. Tohru and Haru said the same thing where they kind of both smiled him off and were like, go hang out with your new friends, Yeah. Kind of and Yuki doesn't seem to understand what's going on, but they do. Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah, my first note for chapter 81 is, Haru's happy Yuki made a friend.
Yeah. They're he made a
talked
friend.
And we talked about before about Tohru smiling when he's griping about Kakeru in the earlier chapter.
She's are you sure that you're mad at him? And Yuki's yeah, he sucks. And he just smiles. Yeah, it was nice. It's nice that they're all tied together and that we can see the things moving forward. So this was 10 chapters ago.
Yeah, and these chapters also especially bring back that not being able to or having to stand on your own. It's okay to get support from other people. Just kind of a theme for several of these chapters
all
lately.
Of them. Yeah. Yuki's deal, Rin's deal, it turns out. Toru's deal.
Tohru and Haru to a degree too.
Yeah. So there's a little interaction with Yuki and Haru, and I think we're just seeing, to summarize what I said, it just said in shorter words, we're seeing them kind of move forward with their individual resolutions. Haru to try to get in contact with Rin again, and Yuki to kind of move forward and be part of the student council, and I don't know, do what he says is deal with them and being uncomfortable, but really it's to make some new friends and make new connections.
Yeah.
And I think Haru notices that, and so you can see, and then there's the student council section is all really funny.
Yeah. So I just thought of a Yuki and Kyo parallel there.
Oh yeah.
Because they have during the True Form arc when he's talking about trying to get Kazuma to take him home again. He's I hate it here. I feel all uncomfortable and stuff. And they're no, actually, you feel happy and feel you're at home and have people who you care about. And it's kind of the same thing where he's oh, I feel uncomfortable. I don't know how to deal with these people. It's no, you're making friends.
Yeah, you're actually making friends. It's actually good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about it that way. It's a good point. It's cute. They're so cute, and they don't know what's comfortable. It's so sad.
This is weird. Is it supposed to feel like this? Yes, that's friendship.
Yes, it's called being friends. The way that Kakeru and Yuki argue all the time is hilarious. They have their little like bickering. It's like, oh, you're so normal friends with these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Kimi calling him over the PA, and then Kakeru imitating her, and then like texting her to tell her that he found Yuki is hilarious. And then they get to the student council room, which we should talk about. So yeah, they're so also, first of all, before that, Kakeru is super excited. I loved how excited he was about the prospect of evil in the student council room.
I thought he's like, oh man, this is terrible, with this like
so
huge
terrible.
on his face.
And then Yuki is like, I think you're really happy about it. He's like, oh crap, this isn't good. This is so bad. Yeah. But anyway, so then they open the door, and it's Machi, of course, who's wreaking havoc in the student council room. Machi doesn't say anything in this chapter, I think, at all. But she's clearly freaked out. Like, she looks even more freaked out than the first time when we saw her, like, when she messed up the student council room the first time. She's, like, sweating, and she's, like, shocked. Like, maybe, I guess, the first time she was more, like, calmed down after or something. Yeah. But this is, like, mid throwing stuff around the room or whatever.
Yeah, and like how quickly, like we were talking about how excited Kakeru is, how quickly he just kind of switches to like, oh man, why do you always do this?
He does say that, but actually I think when he goes in the room the first time, they look super serious. So Yuki and Kakeru go in the room, and Yuki looks really concerned, and he says Machi, and then you see this like panel of Kakeru, and he also looks somewhat concerned. And then he kind of like plays it off like, oh, you're doing it again, oh, so annoying. But he looked really concerned up front, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, I'm not saying like he's like playing it off. It's just like he kind of switches to almost resigned. Like he, like, oh, it's this rather than it being some like unexpected thing. Like
something exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he obviously is not surprised by this at all.
No. And Yuki, I mean, I guess it's like in case you forgot situation, but Yuki has these memories of the same thing happening before where Machi destroyed the student council room, and then he saw her, and then Kakeru got up and said like, oh, you did it again or whatever. So he remembers that, and then that leads into another reveal from this, probably one of the biggest reveal from this chapter, which is that Kakeru and Machi are half siblings.
Yep.
And the reason that they don't have the same last name and like don't seem to be on like bad terms, but they don't seem to be on like good terms either.
Yeah, they're not like super close. Like
no. They definitely don't seem like siblings.
Who were like raised together, yeah.
Yeah. Because they weren't, it turns out.
No.
So they have different mothers, and they raised them very strictly, I guess, like to, it doesn't say exactly, but I think it's like to be rivals, right? Like
yeah, it seems like they were probably pitted against each other as children.
Yeah, it seems like. And Kakeru says like, I like rebelled against this, and my mom kind of came to her senses, and now I'm free from it, so I don't worry about it anymore. But maybe Machi is not in that situation. He says when they talk about what's the deal with her, basically.
Yeah, and we've talked about like, obviously we knew where it was going, but we've talked about how like they've been like associated with each other from the beginning, where they like seem to know each other pretty well, even though they don't like just like they don't chat like friends or whatever. But every time we've seen them, especially in the beginning, they were like talking to each other and seemed to know each other and everything. So it's kind of like, what's up with those two?
When we first saw them, they were walking down the hall together. So they're at least on sort of like good enough terms that they can like talk to each other.
Yeah.
Be in the same physical space.
Yeah, it's obvious from this chapter that Kakeru cares about her.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Look out for her. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, guys, like, go on, I'll take care of this. Don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And then he tries to, I guess what happened, he reveals to Yuki, is that he tried to talk to her about it and she left. But yeah, he kind of covers for her. And he did the first time too, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think he purposely, like, kind of plays it off so that it's not, like, a bigger deal. You know, like, he's like, oh, you did it again, whatever. Like, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all part of that. But yeah, it's obvious that he cares about her. The way that she feels about him isn't obvious, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
But they definitely don't seem to have a good relationship.
Yeah, not like a normal, close sibling relationship.
Not like Yuki and Ayame, the greatest siblings in the world. I love how Yuki was like, oh, that's it. I get it. Like, the hero does the thing where he repeats, like, the Kakeru's bit, which is really funny.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny now that you mentioned Ayami that he's like, oh yeah, you're totally like siblings because he has kind of a skewed perception of sibling
Yeah,
relationships.
same. But also like a good understanding of like awkward sibling relationships. So he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
like I
everything
think
makes sense.
yeah, like I think it makes sense to him because it's like, oh, that's a weird sibling relationship. That's exactly what that is. But like
Yeah.
most people wouldn't be like, oh, you're siblings. Like they must think
Yeah.
most people would be like, oh, that's weird. I wouldn't have guessed that. But
Yeah. No, Yuki's like, I get everything that's happening.
yeah.
It's nice that Yuki was able to bond with Kakeru. This is the first time I think
hmm
we've really seen them do that, where he actually told him something serious. He's like, yeah, I don't get along with my parents.
Yeah, I think this is the first, like we've had that, like they had that fight that kind of developed into a kind of bonding moment. But this is the
Yelling
first
at
kind
each
of like
other,
they're just
yelling at themselves.
yeah. This is the first kind of like they're just like having a conversation, talking about personal stuff.
Yeah, in like a nice, constructive way.
hmm
And Kakeru told him before, like, I don't understand people. I don't understand things. They have this funny moment where they're throwing the papers around, and
Yeah.
and he's like, I don't get why she does this, like as if he's like can
hmm
do it and then figure out why she does it.
Yeah. I like the paper throwing thing. It's just cute. Like first he does it as like almost a way just to keep Yuki in the room because he was just like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like as they're like starting to clean up, Yuki like throws them again. It's like sort of a like, oh, this doesn't matter
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Also, like,
But
I
it
want
also
to
makes
talk
like
now.
some nice, yeah. It also makes some nice like framing. I like the panels
Yes.
where the papers are falling down around them.
The one where Kakeru's talking, I'm looking at it right now, and it's really nice.
Yeah, and then the one at the end when Yuki's talking about how like you got to deal with what you got, and it's got
Yeah.
papers falling around him.
They
They're
both-
nice. They're aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, Kakeru's like the one where the paper's falling around Kakeru. It says she won't talk about anything. When I asked if it was my fault, she went home. And then Yuki says you have to deal with what you got. It's kind of funny, like they kind of they're but everything that happens in this chapter they kind of mirror each other. Like one does one thing and the other one does it. It's really cute.
Yeah.
Also good relationship fodder, I guess, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Rin and Tohru. Can we talk about Kakeru and Yuki?
Yep, it's the Fruba shipping hour this time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not sorry. But yeah, it's very, I don't know. They're clearly developing like a good friendship. I think this is like the first kind of serious conversation that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they understand each other. Like Nao keeps trying to argue that they should go and like clean up the class, whatever. And he's like, I understand. Like he's like, I get what you're trying to do. I get that you're trying to cover for Machi for whatever reason, and that she clearly has some like problems. So I'm just gonna like leave it.
Yeah.
And just move on.
Yeah, it's nice because that's even before they have their conversation, but it's kind of a show of trust there on Yuki's part.
Yeah, it's a show of trust, and I think just a show of compassion. Like Yuki's always been. I feel like we know him to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
He used to say before, wasn't he kind of? We joked, at least we joked before about him being like now he's like now that he understands his own feelings, he can like help other people. You know.
Yeah.
Because before he would have been like, "Fuck this shit," like I think.
Yeah, he's learning. He's learning how to people.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he's
So I think
he's
it
much
shows
better
that.
at peopling now.
Yeah, I think so. Instead of just being awkward or running away or whatever.
Yeah.
And they have their great like, if you can look back and laugh at it, then you know that things are getting better or whatever.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny and nice that his mom is like, "Don't use the phone wastefully," and then he kind of chuckles about it.
Yeah. So is this the first mention we've had of his dad?
I think so.
I think we talked about it. We're like, does he
We
have
talked about
his dad alive? Or...
Yeah, like what's up with his dad? Is he there?
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently he's around.
Apparently he's alive and doing stuff.
Yeah, doesn't seem like whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nice the scene with his mom too. It seems like she's starting to kind of maybe take to heart things Ayame was saying about how like we have a chance to. Yuki's giving us a chance to have a relationship with him still, despite everything we did, and so
Yeah, and also Yuki just like seeing Yuki wanting to be more independent and whatever. Like she, got sassed. I guess it's Ayame also sassed her, but got sassed by everybody at the parent-teacher conference, right? And they were like, you need to like it by Ayame and Yuki. Like Yuki was like, I'm gonna do my own thing, and you need to like accept that, basically. So yeah, it is kind of
like she seems a little surprised at him being like just kind of calm and polite and independent, talking to her and thanking her for giving him the signature, and then she kind of like hesitates before leaving.
like she wanted to like tell him something.
Yeah. It's like, maybe I should have the conversation with my son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't quite get there, but progress, baby steps.
Yeah. It is interesting the like the way the panels are done in that scene. So he takes the paper from her, and when he's folding it up, this is like, it's right toward the end. But so he's like, yeah, I just need a signature, thank you. And then you see her face, and it's kind of like in shadow, like, oh, like he's not, I don't know, it's kind of surprised looking, like he's so confident or whatever. Maybe she can tell that he seems kind of different.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's what's implied to me. It's not clear. I just love how he snuck through the wall. Like, what the fuck was up with that? Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't notice that until, like, this read. But,
yeah,
I guess he was trying to avoid the front gate.
Maybe he didn't want Akito to know he was there or something.
Yeah, not have everyone know he's there.
But it is still weird. You feel like he's the kind of person who could just walk in and out, really. But
yeah, I'm sure he could. I just think he doesn't want the
attention.
My guess is that he doesn't want everyone to know he's coming in.
Yeah.
He just wants to go talk to his mom, get the signature, and leave.
Do his business. Yeah.
Yeah, without having to be like, oh, Akito knows you're here. Let's go visit Akito.
It's like, nope, that's a no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny that he climbs through the hole. Like, did everybody know about this?
Apparently.
Yeah. Like, how did he find out? But yeah. So it was good. Kakeru and Yuki had a good bonding moment where they were able to talk about their family issues together, which was nice.
Yep.
And it seems like everybody's growing up.
And we see, again, that shitty parenting is not limited to the Somas, even if they excel at it.
They're definitely leading the pack in terms of shitty parenting, that's for sure. Yeah. But yeah. I felt like some of the things that I wrote were like things that were the same kind of as last time, but I think it's just like they all moved forward. They all developed a little bit more, and we had some big reveals. The Machi Kakeru reveal, and then Rin and Tohru's kind of reveal to each other that they're trying to break the curse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like an internal reveal rather than a reveal to the audience.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder if... So Yuki and Kyo are in the hallway. I mean, I guess I can hear everything they're yelling. So do they know that Tohru's trying to break the curse?
Yeah, I don't know if they can specifically hear the words, or just like, you can hear yelling without knowing what the heck they're saying. Sometimes you just hear people like, whoa, 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 and you're like, what the heck is going on over there? Like, I hear that from my neighbors sometimes. I'm like, what are you guys going on about?
Oh, no. You're
like... One time I could hear them really clearly, though. They were arguing about the car being broken down. And I guess the husband was like slacking off instead of trying to get it fixed and trying to, do stuff or whatever. And he's like saying something about like AAA not coming out or whatever. And the wife was like, well, I'm not married to AAA. It was really
funny. It's funny because we're not the ones in the argument. I'm sure like we said a lot of dumb shit in arguments. It's really great.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm yelling at myself. Yeah, I am like that. That's pretty great.
I say I want to edit Yuki and Kakeru's fight and have one of them say, well, I'm not married
to AAA. Good times.
But yeah, I can imagine that they just hear like general yelling and are like, maybe we should go check on that.
Go stand outside and listen at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the fight is short.
Okay?
Yeah. Is everything okay in here?
You guys need snacks.
Yeah, I think that's everything in this chapter that's not spoilery. I have some spoilers though.
Yeah.
So much excitement, so much drama. I'm glad that everything with Rin was like somewhat resolved, because last time it was such a bummer.
Yeah, it was...
I was like, I love Rin, and then I was like, I guess we have to end this episode on this, like, she's like passed out in Tohru's bed.
Yeah, those were some downer chapters.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think there's more downer chapters to come.
Yeah,
series,
definitely.
But that was...
But those are like two solid downer chapters. Like, I think they're usually a little bit more split up.
And also, yeah, normally we get like some resolution at the end of 2 chapters, and that time it was just like, nope, till next time. Yeah. Be sad.
Yeah, these ones both of them ended on a higher note.
Yes. Okay, good. You want to talk about spoilers? Get spoiled? All right.
Spoil some shit.
All right. Rosebud was the sled. Probably made that joke before.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
Like, no, save it for the spoiler section. Okay, good. Next time we're going to talk about chapters 82 and 83. I don't remember if they're sad or not. Actually.
I think they're about to get into sadness, but I don't think we quite reached the sadness, if I remember correctly.
Oh, good times. Yes, right, yes. Well, good. Okay, so we're going to talk about 82 and 83. It's going to be a good time, question mark. We'll see what happens next time.
Possibly. it'll
kind of
either be a good
50-50
time
chance.
or there'll be horrific family trauma again. So,
Yes,
place your
usually
bets
one
now.
or the other. Yes. Okay, good. Well, next time we'll meet you for that. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It's always happy or horrific family trauma. We only get one or the other.
Yeah, those are the only two modes.
I mean, sometimes it's like a mix.
But guys, it's a romance comedy.
What? This volume says it's the #1 shoujo manga, selling shoujo manga in America in 2006 or whenever it was published.
Yeah.
The #1 family trauma manga in America.
First Tokyo Pop printing, August 2006.
Wow. I had to look it up so I can make a joke
ago.
about texting to you.
Yeah.
Okay, Furuba. Spoilers. I want to say something about the same scene that I talked about before, where it's like the two chapters, the chapter that was referenced here, which was chapter 70. So in that chapter, Toru also goes and visits her grandfather. And I think this time in this chapter, we saw her memory when she's like hugging Rin of her being left by her mother. And I thought it was really interesting that I never connected those things. I mean, like, obviously now I know, but I'm sure reading this first time I didn't connect them together. And I think it's really smart and interesting that all of those ideas are all paired together. So they were paired together in chapter 70, and now they're paired together again in this chapter, whatever it was, 81 or 80? 80. 80 and 81, because both the two of them had, in chapters 70 and 71 or 69 and 70, I can't remember which two it was, it's like, it was Haru and Yuki and Rin having their kind of situation, and then Toru goes and visits her grandfather at the same time. And then these two chapters, it was like Rin and Toru, and then Haru and Yuki. So kind of all of the issues were all together in all of those chapters. It just didn't seem very connected before.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. Can't you tell? I was like, so I looked for the chapter and I was like, oh, it's this one. Good. And then I looked at it and I was like, wow. Really interesting.
Yeah.
It's cool foreshadowing, I think. Or like whatever. Cool structure. The way that the narrative is structured ties those things together.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting a lot of foreshadowing of Toru's issues that are going to be coming up.
Yeah. My note says Toru's abandonment issues in the spoiler notes. This is the first time I think that it was like directly shown, that specific time.
Yeah, I mean, we've had reference to her like being like kind of afraid of, like especially in the chapter with her grandfather when he like made the comment about like
leaving,
like wanting to go and see
Katsuya,
like Kyoko and Katsuya, and she like kind of panics about that, and like at the time you think oh she's just worried about her grandfather being sick, but it's obvious that it's a very specific fear that she has there.
Was that also the same chapter? Actually, I could just check since I have it, but was that the same one with the memory of the door? This time in this chapter we read, there's a memory of her standing in front of the door, and then I think in the same one, remember there's like this random like scene of her apartment?
I think it might have been in her little like mini panic attack at the beach.
Maybe, yeah.
When she had like several memories. I think one was her like standing in front of the door, but I could be wrong.
I remember we talked about it before. I just can't remember which chapter it was in.
Yeah.
There was like, and then there's a scene of a door. Anyway, we just like kind of skimmed over it, and we probably talked about it in the spoilers for that episode. But yeah, anyway, it's the same sort of like imagery again.
Yeah.
The same scene is referenced though in this when she visits her grandfather. Actually, yeah. So in chapter 70, there's like the scene where she's sitting with her grandfather, and then there's like scenes of her mother like in black, like in her outfit, and then there's the exact same memory of her standing in front of the door as a child is what I was thinking of.
Okay.
So we might have talked about it then, but we definitely talked about it before.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting, and I thought it was really interesting that in this chapter with Rin, she like cried as well when Rin was talking about being alone.
Yeah.
They kind of like cried together instead of just Rin clinging to her. Rin thinks that she's kind of like clinging to her for support, but like
but
really,
they're both. Yeah.
They're clinging to each other. It's why they're perfect for each other. I mean,
yeah, it's really sweet because like you can buy it off as just her being like reacting to someone being in an emotional situation, and maybe even having the same kind of like despair as Rin, being like, we want to break the curse and we don't know what the hell to do.
Yes.
But then it comes, but then like when you read later in the series, you can tell there's more going on because has a very personal reason to empathize with that fear of being alone.
Yeah, and it's parent issues for both of them too.
Yeah.
It's Toru's like main sort of fear and motivation, I think, and throughout this is
Mm-hmm.
that like fear of being alone and abandoned. And Rin also
Yeah.
has that, we see.
Yeah. And I think like when you know going in, it's obvious from the beginning that Toru has those issues,
Yes.
but it's definitely become more. It's come more to the forefront of the series, and I think of Toru's thought process. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
starting to become like I think she's been successfully pushing it down for a while at the beginning of the series,
Mm-hmm.
but she's starting to come more to the forefront for her.
Yeah, I think she's actually starting to actually process that that's what's going on and like have
Yeah.
relive those memories
Mm-hmm.
and go through that, acknowledge that that's what bothers her, as opposed to
Yeah.
just reacting. We kind of talked about how she like reacts to people, reacts by protecting people and whatever so
Mm-hmm.
far that we've seen.
Yeah.
And it just seems like that's like her personality, but I think it's also driven by this like empathy and connection with people who have similar problems, right?
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. And I mean, when you think about it, like at the start of the series, it wasn't that long since her mother died, and she'd had a lot of other stuff going on since
Mm-hmm.
then. So it's like
Yeah,
she's
people
just now
turning into
kind of
animals. I mean,
yeah, they're all animals.
living in a tent, for example, being
Yeah,
homeless.
living in a tent.
Sometimes it still blows my mind. But...
Yeah, just all this kind of shit she's been dealing with, and so like now she's kind of sitting down and processing all her own stuff.
Mm-hmm. And Rin kind of helps her do that.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though she thinks it's
they're
a
good
burden.
for each other.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be good. I'm excited to see their
Mm-hmm.
dynamic duo, crime-fighting duo.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I love when they like first do that, and Tori's like, a partnership is formed, and Rin's like, don't say that.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. They're cute. I like them.
They are. It's a good duo.
It's nice to introduce, like reintroducing a lot of new relationships now since we're
Yeah.
past the halfway point of the series. Like we got, Yuki and the student council and Toru and Rin and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice to see some new relationships after we've had everyone else kind of pretty thoroughly established.
Kakeru and Machi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just, it's like, yeah, some of the other characters too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yuki and Machi. I just,
Mm-hmm.
looking ahead to next time, we were talking about, it's the one where Yuki gets locked in the room.
Yeah.
And then Machi basically, like, breaks down the door to save him. That's what happens at the end
Yeah.
of the chapters.
Yeah.
But I was just like, it reminded me of how Kyo, like, breaks through the roof. And I was like, what is it with meeting your love interest in a super violent way for Takaya? Is there something here? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
It's kind of funny how long the lead in is to like Yuki Machi.
He's definitely like, the funny thing is that Yuki's really interested in her in a way that he's not really interested in other people. Like, he's basically like, I hate Kakeru. But then, like, when he comes in, you know what I mean? But then they end up bonding forcefully. And then with Machi, he comes in the room this time specifically. The first time he was just kind of like, what the fuck? And he was overwhelmed. But this time he comes in and he's like really concerned. Like, he looks very concerned. And he calls her, he calls to her. He kind of distracts everybody from her. Like, I think there's something there. It's not just that he's like intrigued. It's beyond that. He probably empathizes with her and doesn't know.
It's kind of like it's like when I remember like that relationship, it's like, I think I kind of squish all their stuff together.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of weird how long it is between, like, it's like, oh, they met, and then there's like a long time before they talk again, and then like, it's like, oh, he gives her the leaf, and then there's a while, and then it's like, oh, he sees her in the room, and then there's a little bit of time, and it's like, oh, she helps him out of the closet, and it's like, there's just like kind of long periods between all the like moments they have.
Yeah, it's really
kind of a long lead in for it.
Yeah, it's not like other characters in the series. It's not like a Kyo Toru situation. They constantly are together. They're constantly around each other. So their relationship, it develops slowly. But with Yuki and Machi, it's also very slow, but it's kind of like spaced out more.
Yeah, it's like the actual like events that happen are like, it's not a ton of them. Like they don't have a ton of like interactions compared to some of the other relationships, but
but there's
like it happens over a long period of time. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Can't wait for Yuki to ask for fertilizer like a weirdo.
Yeah. I like the scene when she's like gets dragged into Ayame's shop and doesn't know what the hell to do.
It's okay, Yuki didn't either.
Yeah.
Nobody
So
does.
she's just like sitting there with her Machi face.
Yes. Sometimes the way that she looks, I'm just like, she's making her Machi face.
Yeah. So that's slowly going along.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yep.
Kakeru is good for Yuki. I'm happy, like, this, it was nice to see their kind of like a nice, like, serious conversation that they have together. It's like becoming the relationship that I remember, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, their relationship, I remember all the funny things too, but
Yeah.
it's becoming the good for him.
It's nice. I like them because they have like the like cute, funny bickering, but they also have like like good, serious, like emotional conversations, which are nice.
Yeah, their relationship isn't just one dimensional, like some characters, I guess. Like now, being angry all the time.
Yeah. He's so angry in this chapter.
I know. I was like, should I write this dialogue? No, I'm just gonna write now whines, and then he whines again. He complains, and then he whines, and he complains.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve your dialogue to be heard.
To be fair, I would probably react in the same way.
Like,
as
what
him.
the hell? Yeah, you guys better clean this shit up.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck is going on? What do you mean we don't want to talk about it?
Yes. Like, I want to talk about it.
Window is broken. It's like, what do you mean she went home and didn't even clean up anything?
I know. On the one hand, I understand, but on the other hand, it's like he didn't see Machi's face like Yuki and Kakeru did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like knowing what we know, obviously, he seems unreasonable, but I was like, I would definitely react the same way in his position.
In real life? I feel like I'd be like, what the hell? Are you okay?
I wouldn't be as loud. I would just be like quietly fuming over.
Yeah, you would have just disappeared like Kimi.
Yeah.
I like how it's just like conveniently Kimi's gone.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, Kimi left too. Just like
disappear before the cleanup.
Yeah. Well, it's
Classic
also just like,
Kimi.
Yeah, disappear before the relationship, before Kakeru and Yuki can have their relationship growth.
Yeah.
Conveniently disappear.
I feel like it was a calculated disappearance, so she didn't have to be involved in the cleanup.
Definitely.
On Kimi's part.
Definitely. For calling over the PA, that was funny.
Yeah.
I enjoyed imitating it the way that I thought she would say it.
Yeah.
I looked at her dialogue and was like, I can't wait to do this. Like, wrote my little script. I wonder if there are any other times that Yuki sees his mom. Like, I don't really remember any. I wonder if that develops anymore.
I feel like there is, but I can't remember it specifically.
They might have another, like, run-in, but I don't remember anything significant, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and by significant, I mean taking up a lot of space, not necessarily, like, significant to his not significant to his development.
Yeah, like page time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was significant. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's anything more than like things like this in the future.
Mm-hmm.
There are characters that he has bigger issues with, as we'll see, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
Coming up, Yuki's like issues with Akito are coming up. There'll be some like the flashbacks of him in the room with Akito being super cray cray as a child. So it'll be a good time.
Which has its own spoilery stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that being really interesting. Like going back to read that part after you know about the Krano's curse breaking. Mm-hmm. Because then you're like, oh.
It was around that time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's what made him like kind of snap and get all
interesting,
like really crazy because like Yuki talks about like, oh, he's a little bit kind of, you know, pushy and mean, but not that bad, and then all of a sudden he kind of lost it. And
yeah, she kind of lost it, I guess.
Yeah, but that's what Yuki's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Like, quote Yuki.
Yeah.
So that was when Akito was young. I'm just trying to. I don't know. I never really thought about it actually.
Yeah, it was like Akito was pretty young
Relatively
when
young.
Curse broke. I remember like because I remember that's part of what like Karino's whole thing with wanting to stay was like because like all he saw was like a crying little girl.
Yeah. It all fits together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm pulling the pieces out. I feel like I can feel them in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's right. That is what happened.
But yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, we'll talk about it more when we get to that chapter, because like there's like a
interesting.
distinctive thing where Yuki says like, oh, he was, you know, kind of mean, but not that bad, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, Akito.
it's like everything changed.
Developed.
And, like you don't know why at the time, but
like now we know. Yeah, everything changed. And Akito, basically imprisoned Yuki or whatever. So
yeah,
good times. So good.
Yeah,
so many good times. Can't wait. That's gonna be a Debbie Downer chapter too.
Yeah, definitely.
So good. So many to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spin the wheel and land on family trauma.
Yeah, pretty much. That in my note, I was just looking ahead at what's coming up. In my note says "Sad Baby Yuki." That's the one. Those two chapters.
Yeah.
Oh, the sort of guys,
Yeah.
Sword of Cinderella's coming. Where are we? We're recording episode 43. No, we're in 42. So 43, 44. It says 45 in my notes is the beginning of Sword of Cinderella. So we're 2 episodes away. Who's excited? We're gonna have to rehearse. I mean,
Yeah. Like sit there holding the books up and be like me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we actually talked about any spoilers for this chapter.
Every other spoiler. We talked about Toru's abandonment
we talked
issues.
about Toru's issues. Yeah.
Rin, is there more to say? She wants to break the curse. I feel like most of it's revealed. I mean, there's more things to come. Like, she's in the hospital this time, but I don't think this is the time. There's still, like, the cat's room time to come.
Yeah.
There's still more trauma ahead for Rin. That blows.
Yeah, Rin is not out of the woods yet.
No. It seems... I was like, everything's fine for now.
Yeah.
Rin is settled for now. I think it's in the next upcoming chapters that Toru starts bringing her food and she eats it. And at first I was just like, that's sweet. And then now that I reread these, I was like, wow, she really has like issues with food. Like, it's nice that she eats Toru's food.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty subtly done.
Yeah.
Her issues with food. Like, it's not really ever like commented on. You just kind of like pick up on it. So.
I mean, I didn't pick up on it until this time. So, like, I mean, I understood that she was like sick and stuff, but not specifically that. And I was like, oh wow, she like never eats, and it's like always she says that she wasn't comfortable eating with family and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like she probably had like issues around it anyway, and then like because of her health issues, it's probably like hurts to eat a lot of times, which makes it worse. I imagine there's quite the like negative feedback loop
with
food in her, but then she eats with Haru and she'll eat Toru's food later, so
yeah, especially if she's also punished for throwing up.
Yeah, I know. Ugh, so
sad. That's so terrible.
Everything about it is terrible. Why are we talking about it again?
Everything about it. Because it'll get better, and then it'll get worse.
then it'll get better. When Haru, I'm looking forward to the time when Haru comes and like carries her off of the streets because she ran away from the hospital, which is I think after the cat's room. So
yeah,
once they get back together, it's very sweet. So Haru's still he's still like I'm doing my best, gonna go try to see her in the hospital.
Yeah,
I love that she like swings her IV at him. It's hilarious to me.
Yeah. He's like, I was told I was bad for the patient's health.
Yeah. The staff are like, get out.
Yeah. But yeah, going forward, Toru and Rin are going to form their little
friendship
curse-breaking task force.
Yeah. Curse-breaking defense force.
Yes.
Haru is, there's a point later where Haru's like, oh, you made a friend, I see. And Rin is like, shut up.
Yeah.
I forget exactly what he said, what happens, but
yeah,
she makes a friend and they have the same goal and they have their like little like curse-breaking meetings.
I do have a specific comment about the scene at the end of that chapter when Toru sits beside Rin.
Okay.
Visually, that is very similar to the end of the series when Akito like has the kind of imagined memory of like Toru sitting beside her.
That's true. Yeah.
Because it has that same kind of like dark background with the sort of like stars or points of light or whatever.
Yeah. Toru also kneels, and like it sits. Yeah, it's like on the same side.
Yeah, just kneels quietly beside her in like the same kind of way. It's like visually very similar, and we've seen that kind of like Toru just kind of quietly sitting beside people before, but like the exact visuals are very very similar with this one.
That's
like
true.
I saw that, I read that page and I was like, oh, that's very familiar, and then I went and looked up the last one.
Like, oh. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
I don't know if it has any like significance except for Toru's Toru-ness. But...
yeah, I wonder. I don't know. It definitely seems like something that's like Toru's Toru-ness because she also does that to like Kisa, and she kind of did that to like Uo. She just came and sat by her when Uo was like when they were younger, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one specifically I remember is her sitting beside Uo.
Yeah. It seems like that, but I think it is. There might be something more to say about it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about like Rin and Akito having some parallels. So
it's the long black hair, of course.
Yeah, just that.
Yeah, I mean, Akito. They want the same things. Toru and Akito and Rin and Yuki to kind of want the same thing, which is they all want to belong to something. Like Akito wants them to be, to stay together, but the way that Akito goes about it is by, manipulating them and isolating them, as opposed to Toru, like, kind of trying to have empathy and connect with them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's the same goal. The approach is just different.
Yeah. I think Rin and Akito were, like, specifically, like, as children, their, like, parental figures have given them kind of the idea that on their own they're not worthy of love.
Yeah, that's true. That's a strong parallel.
Which is like, Rin reacted by thinking like, you're right, I'm worthless. And Akito kind of was like, no, you're wrong, you gotta be wrong, I'm really important.
Akito
Everyone's
was like,
gotta love me.
You.
Like, yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Yeah, it was like, well, I must be
Which is
important.
just-
I'm God.
Yeah,
I'm the
which is
center of
just
the world.
insecurity in different ways.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a good point. I never thought about it that way. It's interesting how characters that get introduced like halfway through the series are like so important. I find that to be very interesting as a kind of storytelling, as a narrative tactic. Like Rin, people like Rin coming in, Kakeru. We sort of talked about this before when I think Kakeru and Machi were introduced. I'm like, it's just crazy that that Takaya introduced these characters like partway through the series. Like you'd think that that's not really enough time to kind of like, not like empathize with them, but become like attached to them. But they're so relevant to the kind of later development of the characters.
Yeah, I think they work so well as like, it kind of feels like almost like the characters we had like got as far as they could get emotionally with just each other, and then like we had to introduce these kind of new elements to help them continue growing forward. Like I feel like kind of Yuki had kind of reached the peak of the emotional development he could get from his relationship with Toru.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, Kyo.
Yeah, and then kind of needed the independence and new perspectives of the student council to be able to continue growing. And then like, Toru's had been, mostly helping other people, having glimpses of her own issues, and now like kind of needs some ways to reflect on her own issues now.
So you have Rin. And also, I mean, you have
and
like Kyo.
More things like that.
But like Rin also helps. Toru has this resolution to try to free Kyo. Like a lot of her motivation is around Kyo, and then Rin also kind of fits into that by also wanting to break the curse.
Yeah, so. And I think like Toru, like since her motivation was so focused on Kyo, she kind of needed another character to be able to step away from that and bounce off of.
Yeah, because like basically the only person who can kind of like Toru often gives other people the emotional support that they need. There isn't another character other than Kyo who really does that. So if she has these issues around Kyo, or she like has this kind of anxious romantic relationship that's growing with him, then she needs somebody else to work around that. With. That's a sentence, right? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, for sure. It makes sense.
It's like she's got, her friendship and close relationship with Kyo, but when she's having, emotional issues regarding Kyo, she's got to have somebody
else.
Yeah, and she has Uo and Hana, but they're not as involved in all this stuff.
And she can't really talk to them about curse stuff.
Yeah.
She can talk to the other Somas.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. They did talk about the like future, all their anxiety about the future, like generically, but they can't be involved with these secrets. So.
Yeah, like she can't exactly go to them and be like, I've got a lot of anxiety around Kyo because he's going to get locked up after high school.
And they're like, I'm sorry, what?
Like, wait, what? What was that last part?
By the way, they also turn into animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we talk about Machi's issues?
Oh, I guess we didn't talk about it in detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was revealed this time that they're half siblings. She and Kakeru are half siblings. I thought it was interesting that Kakeru was like, oh, she's not free of that yet. I guess because of her brother. He doesn't know about her brother.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't know that much about like the family situation anymore, since he's not really part of it anymore, since his mother decided to pull out of the succession race. So. Right. And Machi's not really emotionally open.
Right.
So she's probably not going to be like, hey, so this is what's been going on.
Right. By the way.
But yeah, so like this chapter started to kind of hint at like, oh, maybe this is why she's having some issues, but we don't really get the full detail of it yet, which is going to become clear later on. Yeah, I feel like you could extrapolate like what the reveal is going to be from this chapter. Like the fact that they talk about how they were raised very strictly and competitively, and then the fact that she wants to trash stuff.
Yeah. it all fits together. Like, I mean, it kind of,
Yeah.
it's I mean, I could see why you wouldn't realize it, but I mean, I think it's like pretty obvious when Nao, after like the thing when they're walking back, Nao's complaining and he's like, oh, they like, what did he say exactly? He's like, oh, they say that she's like a demon of destruction and blah blah blah. So it's like, when he says it like that, it's like, okay, I know that I'm supposed to pay attention to like this factor of hers, you know, this part of her personality.
It's also kind of interesting that like Kakeru like was able to get free by kind of doing the same thing, but just once.
Just once, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like he like went wild and threw a tantrum and destroyed stuff, and that like got his mom to go like, okay, this is stupid, and drop out of it. But Machi kind of does it privately, I guess, because she still feels like she has to like live up to these expectations.
Yeah, and that they don't trust her and whatever.
Yeah. It's like, you should have destroyed stuff earlier. It worked for Kakeru.
Yeah. But I guess she's never done that with her parents. Like, she does it in other places.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said, like, she kind of does it privately rather than...
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't learn about the whole issue with her baby brother until much later.
Yes.
Just depressing.
It is. The whole thing is depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of explains a lot about Kakeru's issues, too, when we, like, learn later on, like, his, like, lack of empathy and stuff. And it's like, if you were raised like that...
Yeah. Yeah, he just doesn't understand other people. He was raised to be super competitive and whatever, and I guess to be perfect. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly in what way they were raised to be in a certain way to become better heirs. Like, I don't know exactly what that means, unless they were...
Yeah, or I feel like they were just trying to... Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to be like, it's like, oh, look, my child is perfect.
Yeah.
They do everything right. They never make any mistakes.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're perfect for the heir.
Look at my beautiful son.
It's like, no, they're a child.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's not very clear. I don't think it'll ever be clear exactly the way that they were raised. But you're right. It could be that Kakeru is kind of like issues of not being able to empathize with other people come from that. And it's clear. I mean, we see later there's a clear line drawn for us that Machi's behavior stems from that, being rejected by her parents and, you know, wanting to be perfect all the time, or needing her parents telling her she needed to be perfect all the time. So. So yes, that will all come to the fore soon. And by soon, I mean much later.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I say that, but it's like we're in chapter 60-something out of 100-something, 120-something, so not too far off.
Chapter 80-something.
That's right. Sorry. We're almost, in the 80s. So we're three-quarters of the way there, almost.
Got like 40-ish chaptors left.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Oh, no, it's not.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I wrote down Tohru as a mother figure.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, oh, we'll talk about that next time. I almost made a note about it this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. The reveal's not very far away, but this is a very blatant...
Did we talk about it last time? I don't remember, but we definitely should have.
I don't think so.
Because I was like, oh, she's obviously, like, Rin recognizes her as sort of...
Yeah, I think we talked about, like, how Rin seeing like paralleling people with her mother, but I don't know if we talked about Tohru specifically.
Yeah.
I know we talked about Akito being paralleled with her mother at some point.
Both of them, yeah. I definitely remember calling it out 100% for sure. But I don't know if we even talked about it in spoilers, so if we didn't, sorry. But yeah, that's yeah, definitely. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So, like, it's blatantly obvious in this chapter that, like, Rin's seeing her as a mother figure to some degree. But we also get that, like, parallel with Yuki, which is, I think we get the reveal next episode.
It's next time. Yeah, next 2 chapters from now.
Yeah, because this is a pretty blatant one, so.
But yeah, when he said, Rin and I were looking for the same thing, I was like, oh, this is going to be the one where he reveals that he was looking for a mother. And then I was like, oh, wait, actually, it's 2 more chapters from the end of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also something that I couldn't say before.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And it is blatantly obvious with Rin, especially at the beginning of the chapters that we read this time, where she, last time she was like envisioning Tohru as like a mother, her mother when she came home, expecting that Tohru was going to get angry at her. I think mostly. But this time we saw her in more of a caregiving kind of role.
Yeah.
Almost like she wants,
and the fact
like
that
Rin wants that to be the reality, you know?
Yeah, and the fact that like when Rin first saw Toru and like said she wanted to like run and cry to her, how she was like doing something very domestic and motherly, like folding
she was
laundry.
folding laundry, and she also said like a girl who runs crying home to her mother or something in her dialogue. Yeah, yeah, you right. Once again, this episode, you right.
Anyway, that's the only other thing I had.
That's important. It was good.
Yeah, I was just like, wait.
It's kind of interesting that there's a little like kind of another what's it called? Like we got a scene with Yuki's mom that one time was kind of a contrast between the things that kind of like Toru did in this chapters and the way that she acts. I guess you could maybe extrapolate that from what happened in these chapters.
Yeah.
You know. It'll become clearer next time when Yuki actually says that, admits that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, you know, between the last couple chapters and these couple chapters, there's a lot of talk of issues with mothers and desires for, you know, good mother figures and stuff. So
yeah, and also, like, what Toru is to Yuki. Like, Kakeru, at the school trip, Kakeru was like, what, do you like her or what? And Yuki's like, why do you care? You know?
Yeah.
So like that's been going on for a couple of chapters as well recently. So we're building up to this reveal. It'll be next time.
Yeah, it's kind of started in the beach arc and it's now continuing to some degree the entire time.
Yeah. And also I think recently he hasn't been, you know, like we've seen I think times in the past where Yuki's done like things that are more kind of like romantic or they could be interpreted as being romantic. You know, like being flirty, like trying to flirt with her and stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that so much anymore. Not since the beach arc.
Yeah. Yeah, like I guess to some degree it's been starting since the True Form arc, but it's been really into high gear since the beach arc, I think.
The beach. This is why we did a whole...
All is revealed at the beach.
Yeah. So we did a whole special after the beach.
Yeah.
It's a major turning point. Man, that new anime is going to be so good. Think of all the things we're going to talk about.
It's exciting.
So much violence. I mean...
Yeah. It's going to be like all new stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we talked about everything.
I think so.
I mean, there's just like Shigure and Shigure being sassy about the curse breaking, I guess, still.
Yeah.
I don't have anything particular to say about that. I mean, he goes and talks to Rin about it later himself, so.
Yeah, and the whole idea is that he's saying the curse is breaking on its own, which is what he implies in this chapter and says blatantly a little bit later.
Yeah, it's a good time. Can't wait. Okay, good. Let's wrap up. Next time.
Okay.
Next time, we'll be talking about 82 and 83. It's gonna be a time.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be. Oh yeah, it's gonna be sad. Right, mostly sad, but there'll be some student council thrown in there, so I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
More resolution.
I think it's average levels of sad rather than, you know, high octane sad like we was in.
Yeah. Sad, sad, sad. More sadness than you could think of. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Oh, I guess we're Wednesday, 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 Wednesday. All right, good. On that note, great. Ended with another bad joke, so.
How we do.
Yeah, I hope you all appreciated it. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It's like, or not.
First Tokyo Pop printing, August 2006.
Wow. I had to look it up so I can make a joke about texting to you.
Yeah. I don't think I had a phone in 2006.
In 2006 I did. That was when I had one of those LG chocolate phones. So exciting. And it definitely could SMS, but my parents didn't have an SMS plan. And they refused to get one for some reason. I never understood that.
I just couldn't wrap my head around texting with the number pad.
Yeah,
so I didn't really start I didn't really start texting until I had the BlackBerry with the keyboard.
Yeah.
So I could actually type letters. Like I remember trying to text someone to tell them that I don't do texting. Because they texted me and so I wanted to like reply and be like, you're gonna have to call me because I can't text back. And I got like 2 letters in and I was like, fuck this.
Agree. So I just called them. Hello, it's Ellen. You probably just listened to us talk for, an hour and a half about Furuba. If you want to send us a question, you can find us on Twitter at staytogetherpod, on Tumblr at staytogetherpodcast.tumblr.com, or you can send us an old-fashioned email at staytogetherpodcast@gmail.com. Kayla and I want to keep creating podcasts and keep them ad-free. So if you like what you're listening to, please consider giving to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/staytogethernetwork. Thank you always for listening and for all your support. We'll see you next time.